Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Maxwell, and we have another edition of Bring the Smoke, man. I have Apostle Christopher Spells in here. We call it He-Man, you know what I'm saying?
Don't even do that. Don't even do that. Don't even do that.
And we got Dr. Kevin
You gotta
Swan.
edit that. Yeah, don't even do that.
We got Dr.
We
Kevin
not going
Swan.
that way.
We got to start out with edits already. I'm going to start over, man. I don't want to get beat up. He a bully. All right. Hey everybody, how you doing? Whatever, Negro. This is my show. It's staying in there. Let's go, man.
Whatever, Negro. This my show. I
This
think
is your
he's sipping
show. Bring
for
the
real.
smoke,
You know what
Negro.
I'm saying? He got that
Bring the
scissor
smoke.
for real.
Hey, man, I put my gun in the car, though, because he too big. I need you to know. I'm going to give you my key.
Now, that's a secret weapon right there. Pastor Ricky, they call it Blade. They call it Blade at one night. He be cut.
Hey, nah, man. They call that nigga the funeral preacher because he be killing people, man.
He do it,
They
man.
call him the funeral preacher for real. I know they call you funeral preacher. Killing folks, man.
Jesus.
Anyway,
Whoa.
y'all know how we do on Bring the Smoke. We ain't editing none of this.
You gotta sign some waivers on this show.
Yeah,
So we just gonna chill with the with this in front of us.
yeah, man. I
Okay,
guess
all right,
we can move if we want to.
No, I don't know.
I be needing that as a towel. Got sweat. Yep. Anyway, we over here Bring the Smoke, man, and we have a great topic, man. We're gonna let Pastor Swan bring us to speed what's going on, man. Tell us about the young man that got shot, man. I mean, going to the wrong address.
Yeah, Max. 16-year-old kid in Kansas City, Missouri. Name is Ralph Yall. Going to pick up his siblings from a neighbor's house. So he goes. He has the right street address, number 115, but he goes to the wrong street. He goes and knocks on the door, just wanting to get his siblings, and this old white guy, Andrew Lester is his name, didn't answer the door. He just pulled out a shotgun and shot him in the head. And then he goes outside and shoots him once again, right there in cold blood.
Wow.
Miraculously, he did not die. And so, his whole thing is he's claiming self-defense. That, the stand your ground law. We know about stand your ground spells from Florida, right? With Trayvon Martin and all that whole situation. And so you see this across the country, man, that people are picking and choosing, man, how they want to shoot folks.
Dude, let me tell you the statistics about when you shoot a black person and you not black. People always wonder why we don't march when black people kill black people, because we already know they're going to jail. Ain't no sense in me marching. They're going to jail. Well, I'm going to waste my time marching, and I know justice gonna find him. Justice gonna find him if he ain't guilty sometime.
Right.
So this is the thing about the statistics, man. This comes from the FBI website, because I read this stuff all the time. So if you white or non-black and you shoot a black person and you kill them, there's a 250% chance you gonna go free. So you gotta kill 2.5 Negroes before they think you racist.
Right.
2.5. Stand your ground. First of all, I didn't even know percentages went above 100% until I read these statistics, right?
Right.
In the stand your ground state, if you shoot and kill a black person and you're not black, there's a 350% chance that you're gonna go free. So you gotta kill 3.5 black people before they think you racist. Like, what do we do with these statistics? Because if you stand your ground and a white person break in my house, I mean, you had people going to the wrong house and shooting people in their own house and get off when they different shades.
And that's the issue, man. And then, across the country, man, you see this happening everywhere. People getting shot, man. And normally it's us,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, to your point, man, we don't march in situations when it's us. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't speak out against that either, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we need to speak out against it. But in this particular case, you have an older white person shooting a black kid. And this is the thing, Spells and Max, how do we teach our kids, man, how to navigate in this space?
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a son that's 19. He's a freshman at VCU. If I tell him, you know what, if you get stopped by the police, put your hands up, do all that kind of stuff, he can still get shot.
Yeah. I mean, you had so many times when they, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think as black men, we know that when we leave here, It don't matter how many degrees we got. It don't matter what we drive, where we live. When we walk out this door, we 3 passes in here, but in the street, we still black men.
Reverend.
Yes.
Reverend.
And black men are seen completely differently in this society than all other ethnic groups, man.
And see, that's why I forged partnership with the police. I mean, I love everybody, but I'm not doing the basketball tournaments because I just love the police.
Right.
In fact, when I got here, I hated the police. If it wasn't, dude, Sheriff Morgan, anytime he introduced me, he always thought I would. He used to hate the police. I'm like, Negro, can you start with something else?
Yeah.
But I used to hate the police because get pulled over for no reason all the time. So I had an accident here in Newport News. I was going to get some medicine for my neighbor. Some car in front of me stopped in the middle of the street, no light, within probably, a half a mile. Ain't no light. He just stopped in the middle of the street, tried to make them hit him, but I hit the car behind him. And so the lady gets out, I'm like, you okay? She okay. I'm on the phone. I call my neighbor. Hey, man, I can't get the medicine to you because this cop pulls up. Why you on your phone? Starts cussing me out because I'm like, dude, it's here in Newport News. So a white lady comes out of nowhere. To this day, I can't tell you what she looked like. You know, sometimes you in shock and you just like, just an angel of a lady came across you. Why you fussing at him like that? Oh, it's because he black. Blah, 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 blah. It wasn't even his fault. And she kind of diffused the situation. Who knows if she didn't come, what would have happened? I don't know.
Right.
My neighbor, even though he was sick, he was so scared from me, he asked me where I was, and he drove up to the scene. Okay? And after that, that's what kind of birthed the In Touch basketball. I used to have anxiety going into the police station because I'd be like, man, am I going to be mad? You know what I'm saying? Am I going to be sad? Am I going to be scared? Like if I see this guy. And I remember Chief Myers, he was the one here. I had said it at this forum at the FBI, and I told him why I started the In Touch basketball because of what happened to me, and I wanted to make sure we bridge that gap between the police and the community. He asked me, man, now what date this happened? And I realized I knew that dude gone.
Yeah.
He didn't ask me name or nothing.
Right.
What date did this happen? And then I haven't seen the guy, so I'm pretty sure they probably fired him. But what I'm saying is I could have been in an angry state. If I would have said anything wrong, moved wrong, I could have got shot. If that lady didn't come to my rescue, who knows what would have happened? So like you're right, no matter where you are, you still black. What can we do to make sure we keep our kids safe? I mean, it's hard to keep ourselves safe.
It is hard to keep yourself safe, and that's part of the problem, right?
Yeah.
And you look at the news spells, I think part of it is narratives.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Ooh, don't get me on
because
started.
when you look at the news, the first 7 minutes, 10 minutes of every newscast is somebody got shot, somebody got killed, and usually it's black people.
Yeah, well, it's systemic racism. And when you look at it from that standpoint and that vantage point, we are made in any genre to look bad.
Reverend.
And so the worse you look and the more visible degradation is in your community, the less valuable you are globally, period.
Right.
I mean, no matter where you go, you know, some of my members and my brother, retired Lieutenant Colonel in the Air Force, overseas, we can't be intelligent because of the narrative that's been perpetuated on the internet and every place else. So if they see us in a luxurious place, a luxurious hotel, the first thing they say, even here with me, they ask me, if I move into a neighborhood, we know who you are. I'm like, who am I? They say, well, someone said you play for the Redskins. I said, I wish I did.
Right.
We can't be intelligent. We can't just be in shape. We just can't live a life that is becoming what God would have for us without being a ball player, without getting a break, singing or dancing, and not speaking little of people who have gifts and talents in artistic or athletic field. But we are, those are set aside.
Right.
But the common value for African American or black man on a day-to-day basis, look at what they do. Right now, if you look at the algorithms on Facebook, you and I will get banned, blocked, or our viewers will be minimized for talking about things like, well, maybe we should teach our children how to have preventative children so that our babies will stop having babies instead of rushing into abortion. Maybe we should talk to them about being preventive about these things. Okay, but what'll happen, they'll ban us from that, but then if we post our sister beating our other little sister upside the head at the bus stop, they will blast it. We don't even have to sponsor it,
Right.
but they'll let it run like wildfire. And it's the way that we've been perpetuated. It's systemic.
Dude.
It's
It is
systemic.
systemic, and it's two parts to it. It's the part of what they are doing to us,
Yes.
right? And then it's the other part we don't like to talk about,
Oh yeah.
what we do to ourselves.
Definitely.
Because some of it we have ingested and now we perpetuate it.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
So if you go back to the narratives though, think about the narratives of, like, for example, last week, Connor Sturgeon, people might not know who he was. He was the white guy that went into Louisville Bank and shot up and killed 5 people and wounded all others. The first thing that the media did when a white person normally is the one that does it is they'll paint a more softer picture
Definitely.
Reverend.
of the individual.
Yeah.
Right?
Leave
Right?
us
So it
alone,
was mental
Facebook.
health, and then they said, he played football and he was a star athlete, and so he suffered concussions,
Yes.
right? Because they want to soften the blow when it's a white person. When it's a black person, even with George Floyd, they want to go into his history.
Yes.
They want to look at the fact he was on drugs or he did X, Y, and Z. So already what they're trying to do subliminally is paint a picture in your mind that the person of color was deserving
Yes.
of
Definitely.
whatever happened to them.
Yeah. Definitely. It was their fault.
Exactly, right?
yeah.
And for those who are not around us, who don't see us in another light, that's all people see of us, then that's all they're going to go by, man.
Yeah.
But you know what else too? Remember when New Orleans flooded? You see black people getting bread or something. They be like, black people looting for bread. But then you see white people getting it. They said they found bread.
Right.
You understand? So
Yeah.
same situation, same place,
Yeah.
yet the picture that they paint. Dude, they put an explicit label on the last podcast we did the one I did with Antipas Harris, as if it was violent when we talked about critical race theory. They're probably gonna do it now because we said it. You know what I'm saying? We talked about critical race theory and how it was a theory and that's not black history.
Correct.
They put an explicit label. No violence was in there. Nobody got killed. We just talked about that. They put the explicit label on Dr. Algernon Tartt's post. He didn't talk about white people at all. He just talked about how black people need to have healthy families.
Correct.
You understand? So anytime you start talking about positivity, like you're saying, they begin to block it. And now they talk about TikTok and how they put a negative image of us. They just saying it because they put a negative image of black people and white people. And they want to ban TikTok because of their algorithm, because they ain't just making the Negro look bad. They making white folk look bad too. So whenever they look bad, it's a problem. Just say no when it's crack. We need to get them some help when it's opioids.
No question.
But one thing I believe that hurt us a lot is whenever we come up, boom, they bomb Tulsa, Oklahoma. Right? Like, you don't want to be with us, they blow it up. You can't tell me that the Black Panthers were violent. They just made sure they were armed, because if you did them wrong, they do you back. You feel me?
Correct.
How many after school programs did the Black Panthers have? They had after school programs. They fed them. They took that away.
Correct.
You know, Fred Hampton, he came after Bobby Seals and who was the other guy? He came after them, but Fred Hampton, he was so prolific in his leadership, he had the KKK and black people working together. They killed him. Why? Because he was telling them how the police was the ones perpetuating them in the neighborhood to make sure they kept everybody arrested. He was like, it don't matter if you black or white, it matters about your economic status. So you look at stop signs, yield signs. You know what they made about people in prison? But because they keep racism going, black people and white people should be saying, hey, why we ain't making this money off this? Why they making this stuff and we not even making money, but they had this modern day slavery going on. So it's not all about just about the race itself. It's also about the economic status that you on. And they always try to keep their finger and thumb on you to keep you in your place. And one of the best ways to do it is to make sure black people keep fighting each other.
Of course.
And black people fight white people, and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah, and so I have talked to a lot of older people, Max. They have told me once integration ended, a lot of things changed in our community. Because what we're describing at this table has always happened to us in this country.
Reverend.
So that's
What you're saying, once segregation ended, or
Yes,
integration?
I'm sorry, when segregation
Okay,
ended.
Okay, all right. Okay.
When integration came in.
Definitely.
A lot of the things of which were taught by us,
Certainly.
for us,
Certainly.
started to go away.
Certainly.
We wanted to assimilate. And you know, there's a story, since this is passages, you know, there's a story in Samuel where God is mad at the people. Why is he mad at the people? Because He's saying, I'm upset because y'all want to be like them.
There we go. And that when that's influence.
Correct.
Influence is more powerful than money.
Correct.
Influence controls money. And so when we came out of segregation, then we talk about demasculation of us, who we are as African American men. Then our uniqueness had to be submitted to a culture in which we were celebrated for acting like people that we originally weren't and taking on their ways.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? If you look at it through, and a lot of times we don't talk about the effects, Max, of slavery that are still here.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying?
Mentality-wise.
The mentality. Yeah, the mentality of, because if this is the deal, and you know this in any breeding, right? Of
Reverend.
any style. When the spirit of a DNA of a man has been broken, then it has to be mentally and spiritually. That's the blood. You know what I'm saying?
Reverend.
We got to come back and get this thing redeemed.
Right.
But when we as pastors, what is our role? To teach the word and be uncompromised. But let's flip this. Now when pastors preach the uncompromised word of God, they stay in a storefront church, because a lot of people can't handle the truth. And so people come to what they like. And so they're church shopping. They're not shopping for God. They're shopping for likeness.
Of course.
You see what I'm saying? So they're not coming to say, where can I get the truth? Where can I get corrected? Where can I learn perfect form in lifting this word? They're going for some place that who can assist me in comfort. And comfort in anything is causing you to be stagnant in everything. And so they just keep pitching stuff. So they got three of us. Mm-hmm. And we got the brothers over here that are filming us, and they're saying, we're looking for a leader. We're looking for someone to take us to the next dimension. All of us on the same page. We're going to do this for our community. Then in hindsight, what they're going to say, if these three brothers keep coming together, they keep having revivals together, they keep having leadership conferences together, they keep having business symposiums together, they keep feeding the people, then we have other people with systemic racism will say, well, let me see if I can pick Swan out. Because some of these things, we give you grant, we give you funding, we give you this, we give you that. But what we're going to need for you to do is represent this, because what they're going to do, see, applause is the first sedative to get you hooked on something outside of the truth. Right. And so then when they applaud you, then they give you a position. Then they give you the influence. And before you know it, you're part of something that's controlling you that you didn't even understand.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
And so Max and I are saying, well, what's going on over here? But by that time, guess what they're going to do? They're going to give you the camera. They're going to give you the news. They're going to give you everything.
Right.
Then our agenda is going to start slowing down because we've been pushed out of the will of God.
Dude, let me touch on two things you just said. First of all, the DNA. Because we in Virginia where slavery started.
Right.
They bred people in order to make them subservient. So if
Certainly.
you were subservient, they breed you together. And I know we say this word, mother effer, right? That's definitely something that happened. They would actually have sons having sex with their mothers
Certainly.
to breed slaves.
Certainly.
So when you say somebody a mother, you actually was saying something that's in your history.
That's it.
Right.
Inbreeding.
Well, a son
Inbreeding.
actually got his mama pregnant.
Definitely.
Because they breeded them.
Yeah.
To
And
be
what's the
subservient.
cycle, the mental cycle of
and
this.
so then they say, hey, you know what? Willie Lynch said, y'all killing y'all slaves too much. Hold on now. You killing your property.
Yeah.
No, that's what you do. You put the light skin against the dark skin.
Definitely.
You put the old against the young.
You put the Baptist,
field Negro
you put the
against
Baptist against the
Right.
the holiness. You put
Exactly.
the holiness against the Church
Right.
of God in Christ.
And you
put
right,
before you know
right.
it.
Exactly, because you magnify their differences to
There
make
you
them
go.
separate, and then they'll hate themselves, but they'll love you more than they love
Certainly
themselves.
they will.
And he said they keep you in control for 400 years. 400 years later, we still doing the same thing because it's psychological, it's systemic, just like you said.
Yes.
It is systemic, but going back to what I said, and I agree 100%.
Go ahead, man. You the man.
If you look at the history, though, again, I go back, ever since we got here, their plan and strategy has never changed,
Yeah, definitely.
right?
They're consistent.
So then you got to start asking yourself, when did we start doing it to ourselves, right? Because they have always done this to us, right? But we didn't always respond like this.
No, we didn't.
Right? But if you look recently, over the last 40, 50 years, now you're seeing more of us doing it to ourselves. This is where I think the faith community can take a greater stand in addressing how we see ourselves.
Definitely.
Right? The narrative of, we hear the narratives outside in the world about how we are valued. There has to be a place where there's a different narrative being spoken, right? And there's no other place for the black person than the faith community.
That's it.
That's where we survived all this stuff.
That's it.
Jim Crow, Reconstruction, segregate, all the stuff. But now in this generation, the church is no longer valued the same within our own community, right? So if our families aren't going to a place where a different narrative can be heard about who I am, then where am I gonna go to hear the truth about who I am, right? And so it used to be that there was a triangle in our community. There was the church, there was family, and then there were schools, right? Everybody working together. Now, I know y'all are younger than me, but I know that when I was young and a teacher called my house,
Yes.
it was death in my house for me.
Oh man.
That's why I sit by the phone. I'm answering this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm by the phone the whole time.
My parents used to tell me, you better not ever have a teacher call you,
You better know it.
right? Because, you know why? Because this was the village.
Yeah.
This was the village,
Yeah.
right? Teachers and families and church all working together to raise our kids. Now, we've lost that village.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
They took the village every time. The Black Panthers, they take the village. They take the, they end up, they'll rather put a black woman in a position of power. Not saying I'm knocking out black women, but they'll always try to get them a better job than a black man, because what they want to do is break up the families. When they give you Section 8, they make sure that you can't have that man over there, because that man over
Correct.
there, you lose his voucher. Everything is designed to tear the black family apart
100%.
and ostracize the man. That's why you see the men that ain't, that, you know, the little, him downstairs trying to be funny, the little soft men, they promote that better because they want to, what you call it, demasculate or whatever.
Well, let's
us.
look at that. Let's look at that now, because where are we as the pastors concerning that, and where are we standing?
That's what
I know, I
I'm
got
saying.
you. Go back.
Where are
That's
we
what I'm
standing?
saying.
Where are we standing? Because how are we going to let a people, when God has called us, or that we didn't choose this, God chose us for this. I mean, any proficient pastor, and this I think people fail to realize, who has the capacity to learn, and all of us been educated several degrees, we can go in any career field. Let's go Northrop Grumman. Do you know their number one choice of supervisor in Northrop Grumman? Pastors. You want to know why? People who are educators, who learn, and people with people skills, and people who know how to deal with mass people who always have issues.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Which tells me, well, goodness, even the secular world are recognizing our value more than the church that we're praying for at times every day.
Right.
And so if I would say, Swan, you know about DC or DMV, I want to see, listen, can I hire you to drive me up there? Right? If I hire you to drive me and I start giving you instructions, right, then I'm already breaking your train of thought on how to get us there. And what happens a lot of times when God gives us things, what we find that there's protection in knowledge and the word of God being held true. And the first thing people say, well, pastors aren't perfect. Hello, announcement. Let me do it on behalf of all of us. We ain't. Period. But the word of God is. And so you're not looking for a perfect pastor. You're looking for a pastor that recognizes he's not perfect and redirects us to the word of God, and then gives us the ability to go by in the blood by which we all can be healed and maintain the standard. And so if you look at globally what they do, why does this man feel that he can come out and shoot a black boy down and then come out of his house and shoot him again? Why? Because he does not fear the repercussion of the government, nor does he think that we are unified enough to hold the government to a standard, because our very own standard has been broken.
100%.
But I want to, hold on, let me throw this to you like this, because you very balanced. So this is what I want to do, because I know you're going to say something. I got to put this out there so you can bring it all together, because you're very good at this. As a black man and as a black pastor, how do you balance being black in pastoring, because you look out there, you know, we gonna have some white people, you gonna have some Hispanic people. Sometimes it's gonna be mixed. So I mean, I remember I tried to go on sabbatical in 2020 when the pandemic, or 2021, whenever the thing with the George Floyd happened. I was on sabbatical and I had to come out because there's no way I could not preach after that dude George Floyd had been murdered so senselessly, with a man not even having any type of remorse, with his knee on his neck for 8 minutes, right? So then I preached a sermon, America Won't Let Me Rest. Because I was trying to rest, but I could not rest because my people had just had an injustice. Then as a black pastor, I knew I had to bring the chief, the sheriff, the senators, the governor, bring them together to make sure that we didn't have any riots here. We had riots everywhere else. We didn't have it here. Sheriff Morgan reminded me of that because I pulled them together to make sure the young people saw we were doing something. They had stuff in Hampton, they had stuff in Norfolk, they had stuff in Yorktown, but we didn't have anything in Newport News because we brought everybody together to make sure they understood we were doing something. But sometimes as a black pastor, you want to speak to the issues, but then sometimes in the back of your mind, well, with me, when I see white people like that, it's like, how do I soften this? What do I do, or do I just not care? How do you balance being a black pastor as a Christian? Because people say you're supposed to be Christian first. But I look at Moses. Moses said he an Israelite. When the Israelite was being beaten by the Egyptian, he killed the Egyptian. Not saying I'm going to go out there and kill white people. But what I'm saying is, you know, how do you balance that, man? Help me, man.
Well, first of all, a lot of people who come to church don't come to church looking at life through a faith lens first. Most people come to church looking through another type of lens first. Race, political affiliation, all the other stuff.
Isn't that amazing?
Right?
Yeah.
Dude.
Our job is to point them back to the faith of Scripture. So it really doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. It really doesn't matter if you're black or white. When you come here, my job is to preach the truth, and if it lands on your street, it lands on your street, right? Now, some people aren't comfortable with the truth,
Wow.
but that's not my problem.
Yeah.
Reverend.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why a lot of pastors don't like to take these positions, and let's just be honest, because there are a lot of people in our pews that don't want to hear this type of truth, and they walk away.
And in turn, when they walk away, what happens?
The money walks away.
There we go.
And so a lot of pastors feel like that they have to preach what makes people comfortable so that they will come back, so that they will continue to give, so that the doors of the church can stay open.
So who's the God of the church?
Reverend.
In that case,
Yes.
it's not the God of the Bible.
It's not the God of the Bible. So,
So let me give you an example.
That's where we are.
Let me give you an example. So, and it's not just race.
No.
In the
that's
church,
not-
it's generational too.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
what happens a lot of times in church, we'll placate to the people that give the most.
Yes.
Ooh, Reverend.
Yes.
So if you do that, that's normally your older generation.
Yes.
And now you wonder why ain't no young kids in the church.
There you go. There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you're preaching to the people that you know are going to give, but then you're cutting off your future.
Yeah.
Reverend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to speak to that. Because
Yeah.
no generation ever sees God the same way.
No.
Right?
No.
So in our church, we have a multi-generational congregation.
You better help me.
Yeah.
Reverend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why he said I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's intergenerational.
He is.
Yeah.
You can't have a movement unless it's intergenerational. That's why King, when they got the old folk to do this, the middle class, man, the young people
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
You
Negro,
got it.
you better preach,
Yeah.
Reverend.
Yeah.
You got it.
Preach, Reverend.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so if you only preach one way,
Yeah.
you're going to cut off 3 generations.
Reverend.
There you go.
3.
3.
Get out of here, Reverend.
And
You'll have money, but you ain't going to have nobody else.
this is
Reverend!
the challenge. This is the challenge. This is the challenge in generational. And the thing I told them, if you want to look at it, you know, when I went to prom, we were playing Guy Aaron Hall and Keith Sweat.
Right.
If you listen to the sound now, none of that's going to be played.
No.
And so the sound of the church changes, and that's okay. But the integrity of the church has to remain the same. So a lot of times, for the sake of being multi-generational, we begin to dilute standard. And we have to teach to the old and to the new, but we have to hold the standard. It's not how you do church, it's how you remain in standard. And a lot of people, you know, these days, like say when I started my church, and a lot of times when you when you're hired at a church or you start a church or whatever, a lot of times you take on the spirit of what pre-existed and you're working your way into the call that God has for you. Or sometimes you're trying to get away, like in my case, from the things that were done wrong and that you're trying to establish something right. But when it comes to just cross-pollinizing and being able to love on each other as clergy and say, hey, bro, I think you could have done that, little brother. Hey, I'm seeing the direction in your ministry. You know, everything's going well, but you may want to consider installing this because you become a little top heavy with youth.
Right.
And remember the wave? Everybody wanted the youth. Mm-hmm. And so everybody made their church like Chuck E. Cheese. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? The teen center was everything. We got rides and donkeys and everything, you know. And so we went there. And for sake, now the elder people are feeling left out.
Correct.
And we're like, well, look, we got to cater to the youth. And the other folks saying, well, I'm getting up in age. There's no, I'm 70 now. It's no rocket science. So I live to see 100. God bless. I'm thinking maybe 85. I'd be really blessed. Let's look at this. Where can I go and transition? But a lot of what they carry and embody, we need. And we need to
100%.
pass on.
See, listen, the church has to, I look at McDonald's as the model.
Yeah.
Max, if you ever go to McDonald's is always going to be a burgers and fries joint.
Yep.
Reverend.
2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese.
Yep. Always.
Pickle sesame seed bun, right?
That's it.
That's McDonald's always. Golden Arches, what do you think about McDonald's?
Mickey D's.
Right? You think French fries, right? That's their calling card. Have you been in there lately? Have you seen their menu lately? They got frappuccinos, they got cappuccinos, they got salads. They got what McDonald's decided to do to survive. I'm gonna still offer what I've always been offering, who I am, right? But I'm gonna add some stuff to the menu for other people to also feel like they have a place here.
Yes.
And what the church has decided is we just gonna be a burgers and fries joint, and that's all we gonna be. And if you don't like that,
Yes.
don't come.
Yes.
And what this generation has said, we ain't coming.
But look at this though. It's funny how you use McDonald's. But
I
then
love that.
Let's go to Hardee's. Hardee's tried to get away from coffee, and they tried to just do their donuts, but they forgot they were Dunkin' Donuts.
Right.
And so when they tried to do all this other stuff and left the coffee out and then pushed the coffee, they almost went out of business.
Right.
When they brought the coffee back, dude, they were buying the coffee to Dunkin' Donuts. The whole reason they there was for the coffee. They weren't there for the donut. It was just an extra thing. So you still got to stay true to your standard.
Yeah.
That's it.
You
Yeah.
still got to stay true to your mantra of your faith, the substratum of your faith,
Yeah.
but you still got to add on stuff. And see, we try to stay the same. See, the reason why Moses didn't go to the promised land wasn't because he kept cussing God out, because he did. When God first told Moses, hey, he said, strike the rock and get water. He struck the rock and water came out. The next time he told Moses, hey, pray to the rock. But Moses was so irritated, he struck the rock. God let water come out. But he had told him to pray to the rock, and God said, you ain't going. Why? Because you keep trying to function today on yesterday's word.
Right.
When you try to function the same way you function, we ain't got to sit up here and try to march every time. We got flipping social media.
Right.
We got bring the smoke.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We can put out stuff. We got preachers that can come
Definitely.
on Tuesday nights, say what they need to do, preach to a topic, and put it out around the world.
Yeah.
You can go march just to get some attention, but it's so many different ways you can do it. But the church keeps trying to do the same thing. It was funny. This church in Atlanta tried to get me to come to their church to pastor. I love Atlanta, so you throw a carrot for Atlanta, Let me throw as long as you match it, I'm staying. But no, I was playing. but seriously, they wanted me to come there, but I asked them, well, what happened to the last pastor? And they said, well, he went to another church. And so now we getting rid of all these cameras. We getting rid of all this social media stuff he got. Hold on. So was he fighting y'all for social media?
Right.
They said, yeah. I said, so you mean to tell me in the midst of a pandemic, when you can only have a few people in church at a time, y'all was fighting him for social media, and now you gonna get rid of the cameras? Y'all gonna die.
Right.
You don't make no sense.
You gonna die.
You gonna die. You trying to function in a pandemic society where some people never gonna come back to church. You still had a limit on how many people you could have in church if you obeyed the government. Not I. But At the end of the day, what are you trying to say? You telling me you're not gonna change in order to bring people in? You gonna die anyway.
You are.
So like you said, you gotta meet the young people. The young people, you gotta learn how to, like, when you look at the money piece. Young people ain't gonna never tithe, but they'll give to a cause.
They will.
If you got a call, tell them what it is, they'll give. Old people gonna always stay the same. But I mean, the way y'all, man, y'all good, man. I'm just be quiet. I'm just gonna listen to y'all.
It's about the church
good.
has to be about people finding their space.
Yeah.
Because whenever you bring young people in, the old folks get scared.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
But you
Why
don't
they
have to
get
get
scared?
scared.
Why they get scared?
Because they think they're gonna get pushed out. Right? They think you bringing in all these new people, and now there's no more space for
Reverend,
me.
you're a smart guy.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. But there is space. You know why? Because you do it. You have senior trips, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
We got senior. Y'all go somewhere. Get on the bus and go somewhere.
Yeah.
If everybody feels like there is a space, just like what we're doing right here, there's room at the table for everybody. That's the role for us now, right? And you add to that. How do you define a member now? Because to your point with social media, a person can sit at home and watch you, you, and me. I had somebody tell me one time, said, Pastor, I just want you to know, you one of the 10 pastors I watch on Sunday. And so my initial reaction, I don't know how to respond to that. Because now, the question for pastors that we have to wrestle with is, why should I even come through your door?
Yeah, certainly, certainly.
Because I don't have to. It can't be just for preaching. Because I can watch a sermon anywhere.
Yeah.
And it can't be just for music, because I can watch that anywhere too. So what we have to think about is what really now in this generation with social media makes a person want to connect
I know, man.
with me.
Well, the biggest thing is, first, I can't go. I got to back up with you to them golden arches.
Yeah.
McDowell's,
You know,
man. McDowell's.
McDowell's, yeah, cause they which started as a hot dog stand, but one thing about them, those arches never gonna change.
You're never gonna change.
And we can, if you would, in typology, just if from our perspective, that would be the cross. You understand that
sir.
when we see that, we know where we are, the
Yes, sir.
steeple, we know where to come. And so they're gonna have that Big Mac, they're gonna have that cutie pie, that quarter pounder, you know, they're gonna have those fries, and when they're hot and salty, they right.
That's standard.
And so that's never gonna change.
No.
Now, they'll add stuff to it. I mean, they'll throw that McDLT back on the menu. They'll come with that McRib, and them cats will come back. But what we're talking about, that the standard is the same, we're talking about the mind and the source is the same. And we're talking about a conglomerate of people being able to come to a place and get what they need. And now, because they understand the spirit of the place, even if they're a McRib or McDLT type of person, they know if they got to come and they get something else off of the menu, they're supporting a place that their standards are holistically what is causing the company or the ministry to thrive. And I think a lot of times, like you said, in the older, we want to hold on to those arches. But what we need to do is understand, as every generation comes with a spirit and a purpose, and that's to extend the word and fulfill the prophecy. So when they come, no, we don't want to, uproot, because when we got out of singing hymns, or we left choirs, or we went strictly to praise teams, I think a lot of times what we forgot was a lot of people were staying saved by being on the choir.
Correct. So in that goes back to generations.
Yes.
Because every generation experiences God differently.
Thank you.
Right? So you go to civil rights. Civil rights was more about Moses, liberation, right? We live in an era where a black man's been in the White House already. It's a different experience with God. And the way you know is different is in the music.
Yes.
Because every generation has a different sound, right? And now we got to figure out, how do we have on a Sunday morning enough sound to hit everybody in the room.
That is something.
Because because the older folk want the hymns.
Yes,
The
yes.
younger folks want Kirk or Maverick City, or they want somebody else.
And we can't get it all every Sunday.
You can't.
So because the arch is up, because the cross, you're going to get it during the course of the evolution of the church, and we're going to grow. But it's nothing like a church that ain't singing. We know that, praise teams, want to sing Maverick or whatever. It's not necessarily guaranteeing it's going to be a move of God like that, right? But you get a sister that don't know how to do the runs and everything, that on the right Sunday cuts that hymn and it rocks the whole house.
Exactly right.
And it introduces. And I think the old generation and the new generation need to understand how to yield to the cross, yield to God, so that we can hear what each other have to offer.
And you got to be intergenerational, like he was saying. But the thing about David was killing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But then he got old, because one day he was fighting, he got thirsty. I need some water. Dude, you need some water? So they went and got him some water in the middle of the battle. They fighting to go get this joker some water. He drinks some water in the middle of the battle, and then after that was over, they had to sit down. They had a intervention with David. Hey, look, David, look, you done killed your 10,000s. It's time for you to sit down. We need your wisdom. We don't need you on the front line
There you
no
go.
more. We need
There
your
you
wisdom.
go.
And they sat David down and had an intervention. They don't show all that in the Bible, but they did say, dude, we just need your wisdom. We need you to lead us and talk to us. We don't need you on the battlefield no more. They sat David down, even though he had been killing. Sometimes we need to let our older people know, you don't have to go out and be on the front lines anymore. Now it's your time to be Naomi so you can teach Ruth. Now it's your time to be Moses so
Definitely.
you can teach the
100%.
Calebs and the Joshuas. Now it's time for people to glean off your wisdom. You need to sit on the front porch and we just come listen to you. You don't need to go out there and march. You don't need to go out there and clean the sanctuary anymore. Your position is still valuable. It's just the vantage point from where you're teaching and the way you serve God has changed.
100%.
I love what you said, though, just about the generations. And when you spoke to Lee saying you're one of the 10 pastors, well, you're one of the 10. We're one of the 20, 30. Wow.
I'm one of the 5, man.
Yeah, that's it. You-
Well, don't put me in a
top
big
three.
number.
You,
yeah, let's do that. Okay, go ahead.
Creflo,
I'm listening.
So,
I'm just messing with you. Go ahead.
So
Try to put me in a low tier.
Yeah. No.
I'm just messing with you, man. I don't care, man.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You own the company, but because there's no family devotion.
Woo.
You see what I'm saying? The most dominant voice in the house should be the father.
It should be. So watch this spells.
Y'all flipping it
What
on.
we should be doing as black pastors is offering something for men.
Yes, that's it.
But when you look at most churches in the black community, they're predominantly female.
Oh,
Any
definitely,
community, to be honest.
definitely. You're touching on a word
First of all,
that's a curse.
Let's
in
take
many
up for us for a
places.
minute, though, just a little bit. I mean, the women, the one went to the tomb. I mean, from the beginning of the time, it was the women, but we definitely got to get the men back. I ain't trying to negate it. We definitely got to get them back.
That's another thing. A young man's not going to submit to another man unless he sees his father do it.
But see, the reason why I say men is not just from a hierarchy perspective. It's a narrative perspective.
Yeah.
And this is why the black church is unique. Because historically, the church was the only place where the slave owners didn't mess with us. Which means that whatever I was dealing with out there, when I get here, I can have my own space, my own opportunity. You bring that to today. If the only narratives I hear out in the world are I'm a thug and I'm a kill and the only way I can be somebody is to be an entertainer or athlete, we have the opportunity to change that narrative when they come to us.
Yes.
That's what I think is one of the last things that we as black pastors can bring back to the church is recreating narratives that don't match what it looks like in the world.
Man, go ahead and put your, cause I know we do men on Monday, but you do a big men's thing. You do the locker room or the.
Yeah, we do Man Up
what's called
Mondays.
Man Up Mondays.
We call it the locker room. What's said in the locker room stays there. What I have found is that when men find, it's a fallacy to think that men don't want to open up. They do. Men just don't have safe spaces to do it.
No.
What time y'all have y'all on Monday? Cause we do ours on Monday. We might come to y'all one time.
We do it at 7. It's fourth Mondays. So I'll let you know the next one.
All right, so yeah, 4 Monday we gonna be there, man. We crashing the party.
Come on, man.
Let's link up. I think we got.
Or we can do one together.
Yeah, we got men's prayer breakfast on May the 6th. Yeah, we ought to come. Let's do it together.
Let's go.
But question:
Make sure I'm be in town.
what do you think
Be
the
here.
percentage is of black men that attend church
In general,
in general in Christian households?
Oh, we're gonna be in Florida on May 6th, but we got you next time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
that I don't know.
You don't
I know when
out
I
of
did,
the families out of the families in the average church. I don't even want to say your church. How many of them do you think that the head of the house is representing the house on a Sunday morning?
under 40%.
Under 40%. And so with under 40% of representation from the source, the center of our joy, the protection and the provider of our house, and then we wonder why racism and stuff is running rampant. It has to start with us. We got to come back to the foundation, because without God, I mean, it's just, they come to us. As soon as they get in trouble, they want to come to us to do community service. As soon as they get in trouble, they want to come to us for counseling. As soon as they get in trouble, but then they're absent. And then, let's say, when it comes to it, because like you said, the narrative piece, and it's just not about submitting to a man, but let's just be real. When they go to work, they're going to submit to somebody.
They are.
And so we have to begin to realign this stuff where in our community, it's not taboo to honor the grace on somebody's life and to collectively come together and honor each other so that we can unify and strengthen our families.
Let me say this too, though. I think the main thing is when somebody go down, we need to already be training somebody.
Yeah.
Because see, when you get 40, we're a little bit over 40 now, probably a lot bit over 40. But the thing about it is, I put it like this. King started saying the poor people's movement. They killed King. Malcolm X started talking about bringing everybody together, bringing the white man together too. Medgar Evers started doing stuff. First of all, it puts a fear in you. I mean how they would do and rate the strongest black man in front of everybody, and when they call it the buck, just to make sure. They do homosexual stuff just to break down and tear down the frat. But let's go ahead and keep it 100.
Yeah, that's been
Every
back in
time
the
a
day.
black man stands up, a prophet does not live long. That's why people don't like to be called a prophet.
No,
You
nobody
understand?
would be no prophet.
Because they always want to make an example.
No.
You understand? You look at let's go to football. Watson said, you know what? You ain't gonna control me. Y'all didn't get this black man opportunity like you said. Then all this stuff come out about the massage stuff. They ain't said nothing about Kraft, who got caught openly with stuff out. They ain't say nothing about that, because anytime a black man begins to stand up, they come kill you. Either they gonna kill you publicly or they kill you physically. And so the thing about it is we have to be ready. So let's not act like we weren't trying to do this. Hell, they'll blow up a whole flipping city. They'll blow up Tulsa, Oklahoma, because you doing good by yourself. And so what we got to understand is when you begin to speak truth to power, we got to understand why people are not standing up. They're not standing up because every time they see somebody stand up, they make an example. Look at Kaepernick. He kneels in peace. They don't want him to play no more. You understand?
No, I get that.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm
get
not
that.
trying to make an excuse, but I got to
No.
play both sides.
No,
I got to bring the smoke, because I'm like, y'all need to
here's
stop.
let me
They need to
offer
stop.
this.
Go ahead, help
You
me.
gotta go.
No, we got to go nowhere, man.
Let me offer this.
He like ticking up this time because he get paid by the hour.
No wonder he said that. Oh, no. I know you got another hour, Real.
So
You got to have another hour, Real.
I'll say this enough. So with you, Max, with that raising up the profit. So what we do know is you're right. Black men have been systematically removed from the family, right? But here's where we are now, and this is reality. 7 out of 10 of our black kids are raised without a father.
Yeah, easy.
7. When it's time
70%.
for them to get married, and this happens to me all the time, couple comes in, the wife is frustrated or the girlfriend is frustrated because it takes a man to raise a man, right? if I haven't seen how I'm supposed to do it, because men are visual,
Yes.
where then am I going to go to find out how to do it? Most of our men are going to the streets. And let me just offer this. The other part about why we need to take our rightful place with men is because when they go to jail, the Muslims get to them.
All the time.
And the
My
Muslims will teach them how to clean themselves up, how to go out on that corner and sell them final calls. Why don't we do that?
Well, because
In terms of offering a pathway for a man to see themselves as a man and for whatever they didn't see growing up.
well, let me say this, because the Muslim woman is different. You know why I say that? Because in the Christian community, let's just face it, the Muslims, the key of the Muslim is discipline. That's where they're getting people. Discipline. They are just about discipline.
So what are we about?
Well, we're about discipline
Are we?
to a regard.
I don't believe that.
Because what? No. And here's the deal. We're about verbalized discipline. So
So let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
How much of our churches focus on discipline and spiritual transformation and growth as opposed to worship, celebration, and
Oh
praise?
no! I mean, do you want it to grow?
Do I want it to grow?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Okay, because discipline is not what church people come to church for.
You're right.
Okay, so that's the difference. You go to the mosque, because I've been. There ain't no guitar in there and stuff. They come to learn. It's a learning environment. It's a teaching environment. It's a black man that's fully respected by black men, teaching women who may have not even had a black man in their home how to honor a black man who is respected by black men. And that's why the Muslims are growing, because for the first time they breed respect and they breed discipline and they have accountability. And when they fall, they believe in restoration and not limp back gossip.
So we could take a page out there.
We definitely need to take a whole page out of the book. And their women foster discipline amongst each other. So Dwayne Wade would have a problem trying to get
I got you.
that off,
Don't try to make
because
me say
there's
it.
not going to be another woman saying it's okay, it's this, it's that, because they're going to go by the Quran.
Man, tell
There
them
ain't
what
gonna
you
be a
talking
whole
about, man.
bunch of
You
this
can't-
and
you can't
that.
just leave that blank.
Dwayne Wade has a transgender son. He's got a boy
Yeah, you gotta let it.
that, because of Gabrielle,
Reverend.
he has, she has introduced the indoctrination of Hollywood, which comes from the whole piece of couch casting, by which if you want to make it, and we all know this because of Will Smith, we all know this because of Flip Wilson, we all know this because of Martin, we all know this because of Madea. If you want to go up the fast track in Hollywood, you put on a dress and you feminize yourself, and for a black man in a dress, that's entertaining to the world for some reason. And because of that, they're thinking that, now look at this now, this is my thing. If my child misses school, they call me. Doesn't have a choice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was a time that if your child missed school over a period of time, that the parents were penalized and they were coming looking for you.
Yeah.
Now, my son at 7, 8 can choose to be a woman. And if I, as a pastor, speak against it, then I'm canceled. Now, my job is to uphold the Bible, the golden arches. You see what I'm saying? But if I know that this is going to take off at least a third, and the thing that is about it, now listen to the other day, just looking at stats, I think the trans community is not even a tenth of our world. I think the gay community is at the most 5%. How do we have at the maximum 5% of the people that's become our government's focus? And our children getting shot down every day is not even being addressed.
Because they stick together.
They stick together.
They stick together.
And they organize.
And a lot of them white men. So they built the roads. How
And
Dave
women.
Chappelle say. You know what I'm saying? And so you look at it, man. It's like they take your. Why is it a rainbow for this? The rainbow is a covenant of God.
Yeah.
You know, you continue to take stuff from what God has made a covenant with his people and you make it yours. So it's like you don't even want to put your rainbow in church because people might think you represent something else.
Isn't that something? Or rainbow on a T-shirt. They're like, oh, okay,
Right.
spells like that.
Right,
But you see what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Oh, now he done broke his
Yeah,
standard.
because they don't know the
Wait a-
Bible.
Well, see, here's the deal.
Then you want me to accept you when you don't accept yourself.
Well, and here's the deal. When it comes to
You know
when
what
it
I'm
comes
saying?
to this,
You was a dude, now you a lady.
I'm not, and I don't want anyone that views this. We're not backpedaling, and we preach the love of God, the grace of God, and respect for all man, whether you're gay, straight, whatever it is. Our job is not to Bible beat or to try to offend anyone. Our job is to uphold the standard of God in love, and to say, hey, all of us missed the mark. None of us have the right to change it.
Reverend.
100%.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
And again, that goes back to narratives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how are they able, 5% of the population able to successfully change laws and get things in place because of narratives?
Thank
Money.
you.
And money.
Well, look at this now. Look at this. You look at our community. You know, by God's grace, I've been able to travel all over the world. Everywhere I go, when I look at, I can see my culture on another race or another body of people. If I take you to China, Japan right now, I'm going to show you somebody with some Yeezys and some gazelles. A female that's swagging harder than some of us.
Yeah.
I just went down to Florida. I had to go down to Florida. I went down to Florida. You know, Florida's a melting pot for all, nationalities. And I'm looking around, I'm like, oh my God, that's hot. You know, that's some stuff I got. And they got the ones, but wait a minute. You see, when it comes to the culture and biblically the Cushite, when it comes to our culture, we've always set the trend. So if there's anything that Satan wants to do, if he can get us to endorse it, we don't even have to have the money. We have the influence within ourselves.
Right.
And so now you look at if say for instance, anime, we have more, or we'll look at Creed. And we look at what's going on now that they have Michael B. and the other brother taking these pictures off. Oh, somehow the photographer wants them to look at each other in the eyes.
Reverend, I thought I was the only one looking at that right there.
Why they so close?
That's what I'm saying,
Now
man.
this brother finally, this is the
Right.
expense
Yes.
of his ability to produce this.
Right.
Where, watch this, okay, this is the trade-off. We've been trading for
That's
years,
crazy,
man.
man.
We've been trading for years, Swan.
Yeah.
I'll let you come from under Rocky if I can make you a...
Reverend, I got you. See how he look at me because he want to pass me the controversial stuff. So you know what I'm saying? Dude, you on the show. Don't put it in me. You know what I'm saying? I say enough stuff.
Oh, no.
You did that 2 times. You tried to give me Gabrielle Union and looked at me like, no, you say
No,
it. You know what I'm saying? Say it with your feel.
No.
Say it with your chest. This nigga, say it with your chest.
I just feel, you cut me off. This is my thing. He cut me off all the other
You
time.
stop, no.
Why he
You
gonna be passive?
Walk it out there. Walk it out.
I mean, so let's look at Essence Magazine. The brother got in tip-top shape. I mean, this brother has had great roles.
Yeah.
I mean, and what we'll do, in the systemic destruction of our masculinity, what they'll do, they'll give us a role and see how we'll do that. It's going to be a role that portrays us strong because we got to build you up before we tear you down.
Reverend.
Because you're not our target, your audience is.
Exactly.
And so then we'll give you another role, make you look a little stronger. And then we'll give you a role where, hey, let's placate to this, where we'll give you the role of being the pilot. And we'll bring in all the conglomerates of you being a hero and a vet. And now the next one, we're going to make you the strong man We're gonna put you the best trainers on the best growth hormone and put you out there, get you jacked to feminize you.
Dude, it's crazy because you look at the dude on Power. You know what I'm saying? What's his name? Somebody help me out.
I don't know.
On Power, man.
It ain't Lucius.
Nah, it ain't Lucius. Power, Omar. Anyway, man, the dude, they wanted him to kiss a dude. So he said no, and so that's why they killed him off.
Oh, they'll kill you.
They killed him off because he would not.
Here
he
you
would
go.
Not,
Here,
let me see.
that's
Amari Hardwick.
Yeah,
Amari
yeah.
Hardwick. They
Ghost.
right, Ghost.
Yeah.
Right, nigga. It's not like you just Chris. You knew what I was talking about the first time. you know what show that is. They ain't want to say
Cut
something.
that N-word out there, please.
Oh man, they ain't want to say something. So anyway, so they wanted him to kiss a dude. So then when he didn't, when the black lady got mad, it was just over the show. They killed him off.
That's why I love Dave Chappelle.
Oh yeah, to live away for 10 years.
I love Dave because he wouldn't allow them to do that. That he's not gonna sambo. That he's gonna be very thought provoking, and he's gonna address the scenario in this situation, and he's gonna cause you to see the other side of how really Satan has been manipulating entertainment holistically. I just won't even say the African American man. Entertainment holistically. And while we know Trump and his rhetoric, we understand that. Everyone, I am not Trump's advisor. All right? And we know his racial antics. We cannot overlook that sometimes some of the things that he says need to be addressed. When it comes to our communities, when it comes to our school systems, my thing is as African Americans, if we don't like him, we need to address these situations ourselves. If you tell me something is wrong with me, my objective is to change it.
Right.
Because this is the last time you're going to say that. Not I'm mad because you said it, because if I disagree with you holistically about your stance concerning the Proud Boys and all of that, I got to make sure that I tighten up my line. That I can't be so loose that when you come in, I'm going to destroy your narrative concerning African Americans by making certain that we make the adjustments to do away with it.
Well, two points.
I said we go back to you. Yeah.
One is people don't like the antics of Trump, but they loved his policies,
There you go.
which is why he got so many votes. What you really got to check out is Ron DeSantis.
That's the same thing.
He's the governor of Florida.
Yes.
He is following all of the policies that Trump put in place. He just ain't as crazy as Trump. Right? And ain't nobody saying a lot about him, but he's the one that's in Florida banning African American books. He's banning all these other issues because he doesn't want people to have the freedom to read about the history of our country under the guise of CRT.
Right.
And so, what we often do is we fall for the crazy,
There we go.
but you're not understanding that
Policy.
somebody else it's the policy that you have to pay attention
Yeah.
to. And who he elected as judges and all the stuff that we're now seeing as a result of what he did when he was in office, the policies that were made. We get so hung up on what he said. But now you got somebody that's quietly coming in,
Quiet.
who's going to run for president,
Sniper.
right? Who's not going to have the antics that he had, but sure do had a policy.
Right.
Yes.
And he not neither one of them crazy. It's just one more vocal than the other.
Exactly.
Now him, you're right. He what? He Hispanic or something? Wasn't
Who,
he?
DeSantis?
DeSantis.
He
ain't
white.
I think he like.
But he
So they gonna get those votes too, cause they conservative. You know what I'm
he
saying?
was a Trump supporter, right?
Yeah.
And now he saw a pathway for him to become president.
Yeah.
And the party is like, nobody has objected to any of his policies. They only objected to his antics, right?
Exactly.
And so that's what you got to pay attention to. In this next cycle, all the stuff that DeSantis is doing in Florida, he's getting support for. So when you talk about us standing up, why isn't the African American community in Florida saying, no, you ain't gonna ban our books, right? Because what happens to us and I hate to say this, we are the most forgiving people on the planet.
Well, there you have it. Except for when it comes to each other.
Each other.
Hold up,
When people
hold
do
up.
stuff to us,
Oh, yeah, we
are the
forgive
most
them.
forgiving folks
Yeah, but-
on the planet.
But
man.
let one of us do something.
Right, but see, what we need to do is pay attention to what the Jews do and the LGBTQIA community.
Yeah.
You come at us, we cut your money.
Yeah, and
That's what the
period.
Jews do.
Out.
You come at us, that's it. What we do, you come at us, we'll still buy your stuff.
Man.
We'll still support you. So why is there any repercussion for
None.
them to do anything for?
That's
Because
why-
we still giving
Yes,
them our money.
that's what King said. You don't want us on the front of the bus, we just won't ride the bus.
That's what I love
you
about
gotta
what they're
hit 'em.
doing in Ghana now.
Yeah.
Because we just sent Kamala over there. For some reason, we're interested in them promoting gay rights. Now, we weren't interested in all the calamity. We weren't interested in all the injustice. We took advantage of the diamonds, the gold, and the pearls. But now we want to come in and invoke gay rights in Africa, where the president said, listen, you know, people's business is their business. We understand that what we don't want to do is to give our children, make it a part of our education system.
Right.
Well, America came back and says, if you don't do that, we're going to start cutting funding. And we're going to make certain that we don't do business the way we used to do business. Now, the flip side of that is this, and this is Satan to the core. They just said, we don't want to do that because we don't want to do business with Russia. We don't want to do business with these other people in China. But they noted something, and I love the fact that they call America out on this. They said, America needs to stop being a coward because you didn't do this with Russia, and you have not done this with Iraq, who punished their people by death.
Right.
Why are you picking on us? Because the black man has always been the standard and the scapegoat. They don't care. They don't want gay rights. They want to destroy our image. Because once Africa falls for it, you'll see it go everywhere. Because we're the standard. We set the trends.
We do set the trends.
Don't ever forget that. We set the trends. White people got dreads, dude.
Yeah.
Dreads, dude. Chinese people dancing to Lil Wayne. They know the stuff. I mean, I don't know. They know it.
Well, rappers aren't millionaires because of black people. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, let's just be honest. We bootleg.
You look at the concerts. You look. That's right.
Yeah. Ain't nobody done
we
down
gonna,
thing.
we
Yeah.
gonna CDs. We
Yeah,
gonna burn it
yeah,
and we
burn,
gonna give it
burn,
to somebody
burn.
else.
Yeah, that's it.
We don't buy product.
No.
That's not what we do.
Uh-uh.
So they come into our culture. Yes, they look at what we do. Yes, they mimic what we do. Isn't that what Satan does?
Exactly.
That was
He
love about
mimics.
God.
That, ladies and
God.
gentlemen, he just said it all.
Well,
What else can we
Let me tell you
say?
something.
Isn't that
And
what
God-
That's the
Satan
strategy.
does?
But dude, and that's what I love about God, man. Remember in Daniel, man, when they started touching the silver,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they started touching the dishes of God, and
Yeah.
the writing went on the wall,
Yeah.
and they asked Daniel what it meant. Like, God finna deal with you because you touching his stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times what we need to understand is God is not nice all the time. God go to war. And I think a lot of times we, like you said, you look at the Jews. If you do this, we cutting this off. You look at the gays and the transgender, whatever, you do this, we cutting this off. But like you said, we need to continue we got to learn how to hit people economically and hold back. We had on one game when Kaepernick kneeled down. We didn't watch the game. We didn't watch football for 1 week.
No, but
We were right back to
Right
support
back.
the NFL. You know
Right
what I'm
back.
saying?
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? One game, right?
That's
But
it.
One thing about them too, I think it's worth noting. When they cut us off, they cut us off. If we say we're going to stop doing that with them, then they can come right on in our circle anyway and do whatever. But when they have their meetings, we're not invited.
But let me gently push back on that.
Yeah, come on, hard.
Do you know that African Americans in this country have within their grasp over $1 trillion a year?
Yeah.
Do you understand that if African Americans in this country were a nation, we would be the 13th largest nation, wealthiest nation in the country?
Easy.
Us,
Yeah.
right? So let me ask you this. If we got $1 trillion in our possession, where are the black-owned banks? Where are the black hospitals? Where are the black schools? The truth is, if we took care of our own, we wouldn't have to rely and, play the game.
No.
To have to get into their world.
No.
And to suggest that we do is wrong.
There
but
you go.
We have not learned the power from Willie Lynch all the way down to trust each other,
Man.
especially with our money.
Yeah.
See, that's what I love about Pastor McCaleb back in Atlanta. He, rest his soul, he started a black bank. As soon as he died, it kind of went away. He started a black credit union between 6 or 7 different black churches.
Because here's the seed that's been planted.
Yeah.
If there's a black doctor, you can't trust them.
Definitely.
If it's a black lawyer, you can't trust them.
Oh, no way.
Dude, that's who
you
you
can
really
trust
can't
somebody else before you can
Let me
trust
tell you
your own.
something. When I had therapy for my shoulder, they sent me to a black lady. When I had rotator cuff surgery, got done quick. What is my thing? If you black and you there, you definitely qualify because they ain't letting you get there if you ain't better than everybody else.
That's a fact.
And then they sent me, this last time they asked me who I wanted to go to. I said I want to go to the black lady I went to the last time.
Right.
Dude, they sent me who they wanted. They sent me to a whole bunch of young, white people that got interns, and then it took me the whole time to get my knee straight. And
Correct.
still ain't straight.
Correct.
I had to hold off on something because I used because the way that she did it, hey, take your pain pill right before you come. I can stretch it more. So I asked them, hey, do I do that? They said, no, you might hurt yourself. Then I go to the doctor because I didn't go to the doctor for 8 weeks. Follow up, hey, they said I could hurt myself stretching it too much. So this is where I'm at. He said, what? You can't hurt yourself stretching this out. So why you sent me there? You sent me there because a lot of times when you have people that's not black, they may not be qualified, but they tolerate you more.
Correct.
If you black, let me tell you this. If you see a black lawyer, trust them. Because they ain't got their job by being the worst. All right?
No question about it.
They ain't got it. They the best of the best.
So we want to talk about, in that regard, we want to talk about, we always hear this story about more black men in prison and all that kind of stuff. But what we don't hear is that there are more black people that are graduating from college than ever before.
Yeah.
We have more black people who are doctors than ever before.
Yeah.
In the history of our country.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes, what do we have to show for it? Now, there are disparities. Now, I'm not knocking the fact that there are disparities that keep wealth out of our community. There's no question about that. But let me ask y'all a question, and we're going to be honest here. When you go into a black community, black people will support the Asian that come into the community to do the nails.
Yeah.
More than a black person setting up the same shop, doing the same thing.
Same thing. That's the truth.
That is so
That's
true.
the part we don't want to talk about.
And then a lot of them will get interest-free loan. They don't give us an interest-free loan.
Right. Well,
Just throwing it out there.
but the point is, again, if we are going to make it, we got to figure out a way to pool our resources.
And we got to
And
stop.
we don't trust each other.
But we got to stop filing for it. So, Jamal, first of all, you definitely got to watch the episode we had with McKissick because he talked about how he doing schools and he in Florida and he definitely is going against the governor right now. So definitely got to watch that episode. But Jamal said something, Dr. Jamal Bryant, he was on here. I said, man, what happened to the preachers? I used to love that show with him, with Jamal Bryant,
Dewey.
E. Dewey Smith, and John Gray. He said the reason why they broke it up, they were trying to get them to do it individually, but they wouldn't leave. The reason why they broke it up, the ratings were high and they were still high. It's just they didn't want 3 black people at the same time. They wanted 1. And it's funny how if Chris Rock had a special on HBO, they can't put Dave Chappelle in their mind.
Right.
If Kevin Hart got a special on Netflix, they can't give it to Marlon Wayans because in their mind it's supposed to be 1 at a time.
Right.
So that's what they do because they only want to promote 1 or 2 at a time.
No question.
Because at the end of the day, they don't want to empower a
If
nation.
a brother
question.
be overtaken with a fault, those that are in standing with God restore the brother. So if 3 of us are here, 1 of us fall, 2 of us can keep going and we can restore it and reintroduce you. But if they want to pluck 1 of us off, then they can cancel the narrative or the agenda that God has given us to go forward. And so that's the big thing. That's control. Because if John falls, then Jamal and Dewey can keep it going. Dewey, then Jamal and John can keep it going.
Right.
But just by having 1 person up there, and even if they just want to say, hey, we're done with that, then, it's an easy target.
Yeah.
And there's powers in number, 3-4 core.
That's crazy.
3-4 core, but like you said, it's our time Beautiful family. You have a beautiful family. The Swan household, and represents, why aren't we taught, not saying I want to be Pastor Swan, but why'd I have to be that, bro, man, or whatever. Why can't I say, man, let me model that? I don't want to do exactly like Swan does, but let me model that. Why if your house is in a community, and why if other people are associated with the ministry, why aren't we saying it's okay to pattern some of the things and connect with this brother, connect our families? We don't connect anymore. With social distances has taken place with us a long time ago, because the only people that know how to gather are sinners. Church people gather in church, but we don't know how to function outside of church. And so, the elders, they visited each other.
They did.
They had tribe. The church was a tribe. We come tribal, and there was love there. We knew how to deal with things. I remember back in the day, if a brother had a trouble or whatever, a vice or whatever, some of the deacons in there, why they come to the house and just be like a normal thing, and before you know it, they might say, "Look, man, we want to pray for you," and they would be sincere. Nobody trying to, right now with social media, everybody want to expose. When's the church? When have we made Larry Reed our go-to prophet?
Correct.
I mean, what are we doing? What type of combination is this? When the church is supposed to be, and I don't want to say in a good way, discreet, where we're covering each other and loving each other, but what we're doing is exploiting each other. And we're thinking that's the new thing. And we're doing it for ratings. We're doing it, you know what I mean? And then, his members can come to my place now. I mean, what type of thing is this? When in days where church was holistic, people would do whatever it took to restore them. Because right now, if you were to go to someone, if you don't have your heart right, nobody can receive correction from you.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? And when we do it as a body, all of us come together and say, "Look, man, we want to pray for you. We just believe in you to get over this," or whatever the case may be, or to bounce back. Family, and that's the big thing now, family. Because a lot of times, churches used to be built of family. You have four major families in churches. Now churches are conglomerates of people, oftentimes, and when they leave Sunday, they don't even see each other anymore.
Correct. And that's what, that right there is what I said, what would cause people to want to come to church now, when I can sit at home and I can watch whoever I want.
Yeah, and I don't have a sense of family if I come.
It is that. That's the only thing that's left. It's a sense of community.
Yes.
It's the community that brings us back, right? And my family may not look like yours, and it may not look like yours, but I still can feel some sense of a family.
Yes.
And let me tie that into finances. In the Jewish community, $1 stays in the Jewish community 3 weeks. In the black community, $1 stays in our community 3 hours. 3 hours.
3 hours at max.
3 hours. Yeah.
At max.
Just keep recycling.
That's the difference.
At max. At max.
That's the difference.
I'm afraid.
That's the difference, man.
You
So
know-
if a Jew gonna find a Jewish lawyer, I'm gonna find a Jewish banker, I'm gonna find somebody that's like me that I'm gonna give my money to.
Yes.
We go outside of our community to find solutions for our same issues, right? And that mindset is what is causing a lot of the challenges that we're facing.
Well, it's still the same thing. We sick, sir.
Yeah.
We sick. Now, but with us, you sick. That dude's sick. But it's still the same concept. We sick, master. We happy today. But
So our people need to see a different narrative
yes.
and a different model.
Yes.
Now let me offer this. All of us know here that a lot of reasons why pastors don't always come together is because of shine and who will make the money and who will do all this. So what if the narrative now was 3 pastors could come together to do something in the community? Don't nobody care who does it, like you did for the prayer. That right there is the image that needs to be shared.
Which God has already been saying we need to do more.
Don't nobody care who get the credit.
Don't nobody care who get the credit, because here's the deal. Matt's gonna take the credit anyway.
It's gonna come back around to it. It's gonna come back to it.
Somehow.
It's gonna come back.
Yeah. He goes, Mahomes could be in front of the camera, but old Casey gonna come. Yeah, woo, we did it, baby. No, that's my dog. But anyway, no, but for real, but for real.
Definitely keeping Hercules in there.
Da-
Go ahead.
This dude. I'm gonna let it go because I gotta go because y'all
gotta
gonna
go
be
too.
chilling. I literally gotta teach tonight.
Yeah, I gotta
but
go too.
but I cannot leave.
Let me try to be mad at me.
But without us
paid.
saying, look, ain't he something?
I paid you, so I can have a day off.
Ain't he a trip, man? He's talking about money again.
See, the money-
Yeah, you still see that money. It stayed in. I said one Sunday I saw it. But anyway, hey, he ain't even called me. He called Duplantis. Praise God.
See, white people, I'm not racist. I deal with everybody.
Yeah, yes, he does.
Yes, you do.
He does. Yeah. But
Anyway, go ahead, man.
you off the chain, man.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. I'm hungry, though. We got to wrap this up in a minute. Go ahead.
We wrapping it
I'm
up.
hungry.
Praying for Chicago. Praying for Chicago with all those teams. That was an end plan. That was an end plan in our community. That was a satanic suggestion. That didn't come from us. Didn't even come from our community.
Help me, man, because I'm lost.
You know, you didn't hear about Chicago? The teams looted the streets. Tore everything up. Yes, man. Wow. Just acting crazy, rioting, looting. They call like a teen day off. You know, in school we used to have a skip day, senior skip day or whatever. Yeah. Did you see it?
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
Oh man, it has been. I mean, thousands of teenagers in Chicago all went and here it is. I know that most of them didn't know what they were getting into. But what they got into is, of course, now because a satanic suggestion that didn't even come from our community, it caused people to get shot. You know what I mean? Vandalization. And they thought it was going to be a Chicago skip day. But Satan had another plan.
The whole city.
The whole city. I mean, thousands of kids.
Wow.
I mean, they were stopping traffic.
Wow.
And if, you know, they was kicking cars, bashing cars in, it was horrific. And then it makes it look like we don't have no home training.
Right.
And it wasn't even our suggestion. You see what I'm saying? It's a satanic implant. That's all it has to do. All it has to do is get started. Why don't you throw the rock? And then we gather who's going to be on the film. And one thing that I like that the guy that's running for mayor, he says let's not, just stereotype our children, and let's not make African American children in Chicago look like this is what they represent. And that's what America has done as a whole when it comes to things like this. They'll put the Capitol, when they rated that, as something light-hearted. But then when they do things of this nature, here we coming with the National Guard, when we could have, policed things on a lower level and installed, let's just face it, the Word of God. That's all it comes back to, man. In our homes and in our communities. And I'll end with this so I can go get my crab cake. Yeah, we want pastors to do some stuff. I'm not your daddy. I'm not your husband. I'm your pastor. And we have to have families that will come in and say, Pastor, what will we do? Not, Pastor, what are you going to do?
Correct.
Man, you know what? Because first of all, we were going to talk about real estate, but then Pastor Swan brought the issue up with the young boy that got shot at the going to the house. So man, just give us a ending word, man. If you want to sum it up or whatever you want to end this podcast with, man, your word of wisdom.
This has been great. Wide-ranging topics of discussion. And, listen, at the end of the day, we as faith leaders, all of this comes in our lap.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the reality is that one of the things that we have to do is to look at, again, the narratives. I'm going to end with that. There's a narrative and an agenda that's being pushed on us, but that's not one that we have to accept. And it's up to us to change and redefine what we want people to think of us. Now, they're going to do what they're going to do, but we also got to do what we got to do and how we treat each other as well, man. And that starts even in the church with how we want to present our God and our people and how we want to connect with each other. You know as well as I do, y'all, we see so much brokenness in our churches. And we have to find a way to heal that, and then also give people an opportunity to see that there is family, there's models in the church. And the church don't have to be ripped apart by a generation. There's McDonald's, there's enough for everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
That we can find a way. So appreciate you allowing me to be on, man.
Man, I like what you just said when you said McDonald's. When you see McDonald's, you're gonna see Arby's, you're gonna see Burger King. You understand? You're gonna see sometimes maybe even Chick-fil-A. But one thing they understand is, even though they're in competition, they help each other.
They do.
Because everybody don't want McDonald's every day. They might want Wendy's the next day. You understand? So a lot of time what we need to understand as black people, church people, leadership is, you gonna reach who you gonna reach.
Correct.
I'm gonna reach who I'm gonna reach. You gonna reach who you gonna reach. And so we can work together and still continue to rise individually.
Correct.
And that's what people need to understand. So when one time I went to McDonald's and they gave me Burger King ketchup. Like, man, why y'all give me, They said, oh man, we ran out of ketchup. Like one time they ran out of ketchup, we took them the ketchup. So sometimes we trade stuff. So they out there still giving out each other stuff because they know they needed it to survive.
Correct.
And a lot of times we need to understand is we need each other to survive. One can set 1,000 flight, two can set 10,000. It's easier for you to rise up when you got other people helping you.
And churches are like restaurants.
Yes.
We all got different tastes.
Yes.
Right? And if I am comfortable in my style of restaurant, I ain't gotta hate on yours.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Because I might be Italian.
Right.
You might be a steak place.
You Rastafari.
Oh, you Rastafari.
Was he talking about the plantain in the beef patty, jerk chicken,
And you know what, man? You might be Applebee's, right?
Yeah.
fried chicken?
Right.
Exactly, man.
Everybody got different tastes, man.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's enough sin out here for everybody.
Definitely.
Everybody got different tastes, so we're gonna end with this. Be your authentic self.
Yeah.
You yourself, God would draw people, the people that you need to influence, that's who God was sending your way. Anyway, thank y'all, man. Bring the smoke, is over. We about to eat. Hey everybody, how you doing? This book is a book I believe everyone should buy. Not just because I wrote it, but because this book was birthed out of pain. And you learn so much during those painful moments. This is called Leadership Growth, the Power and the Pain. You can't have the power unless you've been through the pain. Bishop Morton wrote the foreword. It's been endorsed as well by our former governor, Terry McAuliffe, and by our Newport News Sheriff Gabriel Morgan. I promise you this book will bless you. Please get it, not just for me, but to bless you. Go to willardmaxwell.org or click on the links below, and I promise you this book will bless you. If you don't just buy it for yourself, buy it for someone else. It's a short read, but it's a powerful read. I've been getting testimonies all across the country, and I promise you it will bless your life.